Shapeshifters Team 1 is here, and as you guys know, whenever we get a new promo team, I rank them on a tier list. Now, all of the players on this list, or not all of them, but I'd say about 80% of the players on this list I have used this year. But of course, the beauty of Shapeshifters, I've used a Lewandowski as a striker, it doesn't really matter because now he's a centre mid. I say it doesn't matter, but it's just a whole different ball game because he's now a centre mid. Now, what I will be saying when I rank these cards is I'll be just taking in the experience with the earlier cards. Look, looking at playstyle pluses and stats is one thing. Anybody can do that. What really comes down to ranking a card for me is the player's animations, because a Lewandowski has different shooting animations to, let's say, you evo up a silver card, right? So animations is really a differential when it's at this stage of the game, because everyone's stats and playstyle pluses, or not so much playstyle pluses, but everyone's stats are good. So we'll be taking a look at playstyle pluses, but of course, all of these players I've had, well, once again, 80 to 90% of these players I've used a version of their card, so I know how their AI, their animations work. Although, take that with a pinch of salt, because of course, I've used Harry Kane as a striker. Now he's a centre mid. So we'll give it our best shot, guys. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Do you want coins to be able to afford the best players on the game?
Yeah.
Head on over to u7buy.com for the cheapest, fastest, and most reliable coins available. U7buy is supported by some of the biggest content creators and also has the most positive reviews. Use my code Davis for 8% off at checkout and also enjoy up to 4 million free coins in bonuses. Once again, head on over to u7buy.com and use code Davis at checkout for 8% off your order. Links are in the description or the pinned comment down below.
Now, I always like starting with the best in the game category, so we're going to do that. And I kind of want to do it in order as well. So this isn't in order, but I'm just putting all of the players that for me are definitely best in the game. For me, Griezmann, number 1, definitely best in the game. I also think there's many cards that we'll be adding later on, but like for the most obvious 100% for me best in the game, Griezmann and Maradona, I think they're the first 2 locks. I don't think anyone is really debating that. Now as well, I would have Maradona over Griezmann. I think Harry Kane as well, also best in the game. Now first of all, with Maradona, they changed him from a cam and they moved him to a right wing, and I feel like lots of the players that were an attacker anyway and then they changed their position to another attacking position, like it's just going to work just as well, because many people use Maradona. He had an earlier evolution card, which I believe the grassroots greats one, which the free one, I guess you say, which he could play as a right wing anyway in that one, I believe. So, you know, it's not too much different from the other Maradona cards. Yeah, the left foot, the finesse shot, it is just unbeatable, guys. It is unbeatable. It's so hard to defend against. Griezmann looking fantastic as a cam, fantastic playstyle pluses, and Harry Kane I still have in the best in the game. Now of course I've got experience with Harry Kane, I've used previous Harry Kane cards, but of course not as a centre mid. With the body type, maybe a box to box, because he's got the intercept plus, and I mean with the body type, it's a bigger body type. Maybe a playmaker. Maybe a playmaker, because I mean you've got so much options. Of course it's plus in every role, so it makes it a little bit easier. We don't have to check all of that, but with that finesse shot plus, you want to be in front of goal, which is kind of leaning me a little bit towards maybe a box to box type of box crasher. If you're using a free centre mid formation, have a holding, a playmaker, and a box to box, I feel like Harry Kane's gonna be your box to box one, but you've just got so much options with him. With 2 playmaking playstyle pluses, I understand if you want to use him as a playmaker. Now I've decided to give the goalkeepers out the way, and this is a really weird one to rank. Now we always try and just put goalkeepers in the bottom tier because they're goalkeepers. But in the case of Konate, this looks like he should be the best goalkeeper in the game. He's $500,000, which I'd never pay for a goalkeeper, but if you were to pack him, look, stats or face stats anyway are pretty irrelevant. For a goalkeeper, you're looking at height, where Konate's 6'4", play styles, where he's got fantastic play styles, but the hidden stat, which you can see on Footbin, is reactions. The higher reactions a goalkeeper has, the quicker they react to the ball. He's got 99 reactions. So yes, goalkeepers are inconsistent, but I refuse to put this Konate in the A++ tier, so I'm going to say S tier. Company, on the other hand, though, I do think Company is a step below as a goalkeeper, mainly due to the fact that he is, I mean, a couple inches shorter, but also 89 reactions rather than 99. I'd rather Konate in goal than Company. So this is like maybe the first time we don't have a goalkeeper in the bottom tier, but that's just because they've really made this Konate the best goalkeeper in the whole game, by the looks of it. Of course, keepers are inconsistent, everyone's experiences are inconsistent, but I feel like on average, Konate will be a better keeper than Company. So we're going to go with that. I think we go back to the best in the game tier, and I really want to focus on the icons. I think Patrick Vieira, best in the game. And remember, we are doing this in order as well. I've got Mia Hamm, best in the game. And these are the only cards I'm happy with right now in the best in the game. Now, in order, I think Maradona's the best. I'd then just go towards Griezmann over Kane, of course, at different positions. I think Vieira, would I rather than Hamm? Maybe just. Hamm's got fantastic playstyle pluses. For me, she has to be your playmaker centre mid with free playmaking playstyle pluses. Vieira, though, just looks awesome. Of course, 5-star, 5-star, 6-4. Use him as your poacher with a low-driven finesse and that quick-step playstyle plus. Or it might be no, that is a quick-step playstyle plus. He's going to be an absolutely top-tier poacher striker. So I think I'm pretty happy with this order in the best in the game. But look, if you wanted to switch Vieira and Hamm, go for it. Starting off for tier below, guys, I'm going to go for Olise, who is a striker. Looks an absolutely fantastic card, but I would just say I'd rather a Griezmann than a Kane. I think he's around 1 million coins to pick up on the market. Yeah, look, Olise, I'm going to say S++. If you used his, what card was it? Grassroot Greats, I think it was. Yeah, his left foot is fantastic. I think you'd want to use him if you're using him in a 2-striker formation. Use him right striker for that left foot finesse. I mean, I suppose he does have a low driven as well. So actually, no, you could use him on the left as well for those low drivens. Doesn't matter. In fact, I think he'd probably suit a singular striker formation really well because he's got that finesse, that low driven. So if you play him down the middle, it just adds more angles for shots, if you will. So I'll say Olise, S++ tier. Lukaku straight up next, in the S++ tier. I think it's hard to say he's not one of the best centre backs on the game. 6'3" with a bruiser, anticipate plus, pinged pass and an aerial there. Look, an intercept plus instead of maybe a pinged pass, and he would probably have a debate for best in the game. But Lukaku as a centre back, as I said, you're not going to get too many better ones. I'm going to say S++ tier. Of course, I'd still rather the best in the game. Next up, we're just going to go for Georgie. Do I want to try pronounce his last name? I of course mean no disrespect. I feel like it's more respectful me respectfully saying I'm not going to try pronounce it rather than just butchering it and going with it, you know. So yeah, apologies. Name pronunciation, not my strong point. So we're just going to go with first name basis and Georgie. I've got him in the S+ tier, guys. I think he's just that step down from Lukaku. Yes, he's got, if you say the big 4 playstyle pluses for a centre back, for me is anticipate, intercept, block, and bruiser. Of course, he's got 3 of the big 4 as playstyle pluses, where Lukaku only has 2. But I will say that bruiser plus might just outweigh a block plus for me. But still, yeah, I'm just going to say he's a step below Lukaku, S+ tier. Martin Odegaard, my captain, I've got him in the S++, I think as a left winger, with him of course being a left footer. That low driven is really, really nice. A 5-star weak foot with that incisive. We've got the team up here. He can also play as a right mid, but I do think playing him on the left makes the most sense with the low driven playstyle plus. And of course, he's got that Trivela as well. So if you're into those green timing Trivelas, which of course, if you green time a Trivela, it can be really good. I think Odegaard from the left is going to be really nice. I'm going to have him in the S++ tier. This Royce card, I mean, he looks quite nice. Quite nice. He looks really nice. These stats are ridiculous. Incisive, a jockey, intercept, and an anticipate. With his body type, he's, to be fair, I thought he was like 5'9". He's 5'11". Is there anything that he's really missing? I think he is missing a Priest Proven. A Priest Proven would have been really nice in a centre mid role. What's his stamina? He's got 93 stamina though, which is fine, so he will last the full game. Not Priest Proven, sorry, a Relentless. What am I on about? Priest Proven. I always get them two mixed up. A Relentless. He is missing a Relentless. A Priest Proven, to be fair, also would have been nice. But yeah, Relentless would have been really nice as well. But with 93 stamina, he'll still be fine. When you look at this card, I mean, the Incisive can have playmaking abilities. He's got no shooting playstyle plus, so it would probably put me towards maybe a playmaker. I don't know about a holding. I think he's probably going to be, you know what, with the anticipate and intercept, probably a box-to-box, even though he's got no shooting playstyle plus a Trivela. I think a box-to-box makes the most sense for Royce. I think, though, I am going to just lean towards the S+, rather than the S++. And I think Rashford goes into the S++. If someone asked me Rashford or Royce, I'd be taking Rashford, in my opinion. I think the body type, he's a little bit taller at 6'1", I believe. I'd rather Rashford than a Royce. Now, I think we just make it easy on ourselves and we just narrow it down, and we're just going to put all of the more discard type of players in the A++ tier. Look, I'm not saying these players are bad, I'm just saying I would rather the other cards, if you will. And I'm not saying Free Playstyle Plus is outdated, in fact, anything but. Free Playstyle Pluses definitely isn't outdated, but we're starting to see that jump between Free Playstyle Pluses to 4 Playstyle Pluses. Look, this Asubi card, I think, could have maybe had a shout Had he had maybe a 5-star weak foot, he could have had a shout to make the S tier. I think Schlotterbeck as well, unfortunately, is just in the S tier with him. But if he was a player that could make a jump to the S, or did I say S? I mean A++, sorry. If he was a player that could make the jump from the A++ to the S, maybe Schlotterbeck with that low driven there. But look, I just think there's a good chunk of strikers that I'd rather than a Schlotterbeck or an Acerbi. For now, I'm pretty sure these are the players I'm happy with locks in the A++ tier. We may add some more players like maybe a Bull, but yeah, we'll come back to that. This Indra card looks sublime, maybe a playmaker cam with a regular incisive, a pinged pass plus as well, a trickster, a quick step. I think he looks really, really nice. I would say maybe a 5-star skills actually would have been nice to back up that trickster. Of course, a trickster fake shot you don't need 5-star skills for, but it would have been appreciated. So for me, he's definitely not S++. It's either S+ tier or it's either S tier. I'm happy to have him chilling in the S+ tier. Diani, I think, looks incredibly underrated, and I think the awesome thing about her is you can play her as a left wing, and with a 5-star weak foot and a low driven, should work really well as a left wing with that quick step playstyle plus, rather than a cam. You could use her as a cam, of course, her natural position, if you will. Look, I think she looks really nice, but I would say she's that step below Endrick. I'm going to say S tier for Diani, but yeah, there's a debate to be had that you'd actually just rather her left wing anyway, with a 5-star weak foot, low driven, and the quick step playstyle plus. Should be awesome on the wing, so kind of barely a position change in that sense. This Bull card, I mean, with the low driven, that's awesome, a rapid's awesome, but the incisive kind of leans you away from a striker. You almost would rather use her as a cam or at the minimum a right wing to make use of that incisive. So I do think you'd be wanting to use her as a playmaker cam with that incisive would be really nice. Look, she looks a nice card, but there's many cards that look just like this, if not maybe a little bit better. So I'm gonna say Bull A++. Now we're not doing an order for the A++ tier, but if there was an order, should definitely be towards the higher end of it. Swanson, I'm pretty happy to say Swanson makes that jump from rather being in the A++. I'd be happy to say Swanson is in the S tier. As a wingback, I wouldn't use her as a fullback, mainly due to the fact that she is 5'4". I think a wingback would work really nice, a rapid there. She's got the anticipate and bruiser regular, so she can still hold her own defensively. But yeah, I think you guys got to use her as a wingback because you don't want to use her as a fullback, and attacking wingback is a very, not many people use it. So yeah, I think a wingback and anchor chemistry style, max that pace defending up, but get that much wanted physical boost with 81 strength, but of course it does go to 89. Look, she's still 5'4", but as a wingback, she'll get the job done. I'm going to say S tier. This Mappy Leon, it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. Is she like the same category as someone like a Swanson, where you maybe want to have her in the S tier? I mean, look, she is Tots Nangolan gang, which most cards are at this point. 3 fantastic playstyle pluses. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to move Mappy Leon into the S tier, and I'm actually going to move Diani up. Because I'd definitely rather a Diani than a Swanson or a Mappy Leon, but I'd rather a Swanson and Mappy Leon than those cards in the A++ tier. Now this Cafu card, guys, I'm going to put Cafu into the S++. You may have noticed we left him out earlier. The reason we did this, guys, fantastic card, not best in the game in my opinion. And the reason why is because he's not got an intercept at all, which is just a little bit annoying, but he's still going to be fantastic with an incisive, tiki-taka, anticipate plus, bruiser. Dude, just give him a regular intercept. We could have been cooking, but still, fantastic card. You're still going to cook with him, but yeah, just that much more, like an intercept plus even, or a regular. Could have even had him pushing best in the game. Look, he's still fantastic, banging card. You can play him as a DM, a centre mid, a holding, a deep lying, whatever you use him as, I understand. He will do the job effectively in essentially any player role. Okocha is a CDM, will take a little bit of getting used to. A pings pass, a long ball, a relentless there. There's one tier where this man is going. He looks great, but of course I think there's just better cards, so I'm going to say Okocha into the S tier. Belito, I do think is more of an A++. Look, for technical, the rapid, the low driven is absolutely awesome. A 5-star weak foot would have been appreciated. Not a fan of chip shot, so in a sense I kind of just in my brain imagine this is 3 playstyle pluses rather than 2. Look, I don't mind Melito, but I think my one issue is he's 6 foot tall. So yeah, I mean, 92 agility, 90 balance may not seem bad, but I mean, height, body type isn't going to be too great on the wing. I'd much rather a Diani, in my opinion, than a Milito. So I'm going to say Milito A++. Final two player here, guys, and they're both SBCs, Beckham and Lewandowski. Now, I don't quite think that in the S++ tier. For me, I'm pretty happy to have both of them in the S+. And I said we're not really doing order, but I am just going to move him above Diani for the sake of it. I do think Diani is lower end S+. You could say higher end S tier, but I do think with this Diani, what I really like is that low driven 5-star weak foot with been over it. But in that left wing role, I think she'll be awesome as a left winger. And I think she's too cheap for what she is, to be honest. I think 90k is an absolute steal for her. And then, yeah, I'm pretty happy with Lewin and Beckham in the S+. Maybe you could debate with Beckham, could he have a shout for the S++ tier? In fact, maybe he can. Maybe he can. I think Lewandowski on the same tier as Royce makes a lot of sense. I think the one thing that's a little bit contradicting with this Lewandowski is because he's got that low driven. But if you're using him as a centre mid, the only way you're going to be using that low driven is if you use him as a box to box. Right, so if you use them as a box-to-box to get in front of goal as much as possible, but I would have much rather an Anticipate or something like that in that deeper centre mid role. But I'm still gonna say he's nice S+ tier card. Yeah, as for Beckham though, guys, I think this Beckham is a fantastic valued SBC, and he may be the cheapest card in this list in the S++ tier, sorry, by quite a distance. I mean, I think he looks absolutely fantastic. We'll take the Chem style off here. Look, the incisive, if you wanted to use him as a fullback or a wingback, either or, I think it would work really well. He can also play as a CDM, but I wouldn't, because then that whipped pass is completely wasteful. You want to be using him as a right back from the wing. So yeah, fullback or a wing back. I wouldn't go for an attacking wing back, a false back. I mean, if you wanted to, but you know, I think with the whipped pass, great for a wing back. The incisive, best from deeper. So maybe a fullback, but you're still going to get loads of use out of it. Incisive plus as a wing back. Anticipate, you can hold his own defensively. A relentless Vieira as well. You look at this card, and I can't help but feel like this is a 500 to 600k card on the market. I think they've smashed it with the pricing of this Beckham, and as I said, he may be the cheapest in the S++ tier, but I'm more than happy to have him in the S++ tier. Guys, this is my end product, and I'm pretty happy with it, to be fair. So best in the game tier, we've got Maradona, Griezmann, Kane, Vieira, and Hamm. Pretty self-explanatory. The S++, still some fantastic cards that are just that step below. All of these cards, of course, it's not sorted by price, but if you were to say it is, they're all between 500k to a mil, except for Beckham, who's obviously, as I just mentioned, an inclusion from there, or exclusion, I should say, just because he looks so good. I think he's an incredible valued SBC. The S+ tier, still some really nice meta cards there. Royce, you got Georgie, Endrick, Lewin, Diani. S tier, look, we did put Konate there. Feels weird having a keeper not in the lowest tier, but I've just really tried their best to make this the best keeper in the game. Swanson, Mappy, Leon, Okocha, I think simply just have a little bit more usability about them than those cards in the A++ tier. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I think this is a good start from Shapeshifters from EA, and let's hope that it continues. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one.